These seats are for close family, my cousin Brandon said while pushing me aside. I snapped. Then I said, let your real family pay the damn $4,700 bill. I walked out and left them to sit in their own mess. Can you believe someone said to my face, these seats are for close family, and then expected me to pay their insane $4,700 bill? Oh, I snapped all right. And let me tell you, it felt incredible. Look, I've always been the odd one out in my family. The quiet kid, buried in books, working, learning, just trying to carve my own path. While my cousins, especially Brandon, bragged about wild weekends and flashy clothes, I was building something. I never cared about impressing them. Frankly, they were always so self-absorbed. But then life took a turn and I actually succeeded. I pushed myself, built my own empire, and ended up making more money than any of them ever had. Not that they'd admit it, of course. They'd pretend not to care, until there was something in it for them. Which brings us to that night. I had sworn off these family gatherings years ago. They were always fake, full of forced laughter, cold stares, and constant reminders that no matter what I achieved, I'd always just be that nobody kid. But my mom, bless her heart, she begged me. Just one dinner, Robert, she pleaded. It's been years. I gave in. Biggest mistake. The moment I walked into that ridiculously overpriced steakhouse, I regretted it. The whole family was already there, loud and boisterous, like a scene out of a bad movie. And there, right in the middle, was my biggest childhood bully, my cousin Brandon, grinning like he owned the place. He saw me, and his smile just widened. Look who finally showed up, he practically yelled, leaning back in his chair, making sure everyone heard. Didn't think you still remembered us, big man. I forced a smile, tried to find a seat at the far end, away from the drama. But no, Brandon raised an eyebrow.
Nah, Robert.
Someone's already sitting there. I looked around. The only open seats were next to Brandon, or his equally smug sister, Melissa. I reached for a random chair, but Melissa rolled her eyes. That one's taken, too. My jaw tightened. You've got to be kidding me. Brandon chuckled, leaning forward. His voice dropped, just loud enough to cut through the chatter. Robert, this table is for close family. Find a seat somewhere else. A few people laughed. Not everyone, but enough to make my blood boil. My mom looked uneasy, but said nothing. My aunt wore this sickeningly smug smile. My uncle just shook his head, like I was the problem. Brandon, of course, looked utterly pleased with himself. I could have walked out.
I probably should have.
Instead, a small, calm smile spread across my face. Somewhere else, huh? I said evenly. Fine, I'll stay. I walked to a nearby empty table, grabbed a chair, and dragged it right next to theirs, just outside their little circle. Technically part of them, but barely. A confused waiter approached, but I waved him off and ordered only a coffee. Brandon and Melissa exchanged a glance, but they stayed quiet. Their real reason for inviting me was about to become sickeningly clear. I wasn't stupid. They hadn't come to reconnect. They were here to show off, and they wanted me to foot the bill. Throughout the meal, they put on a big show of being rich. I'll have the Wagyu, Brandon announced loudly, snapping his menu shut. And the lobster, and drinks for everyone. He shot me a smug grin. It's a special night, after all. We should treat ourselves. Melissa chimed in. Get the best desserts, too, my uncle added. Plates, glasses, bottles kept coming. The total kept climbing. I just sat there, quietly sipping my coffee, watching them with a calm, almost serene expression. When the last bite was eaten and the last glass was drained, everyone leaned back, looking thoroughly satisfied. The waiter approached, check in hand. $2,185.50, he said, placing it right in front of me. Brandon stretched, a theatrical yawn escaping him. You got this, right, Robert? Melissa giggled. Come on, that's nothing for you. Silence. Heavy, expectant silence. Every single eye at that table was on me, waiting. I let the moment stretch, then picked up the check, glancing at it as if the number held some profound meaning. A quiet, almost involuntary laugh slipped out. Brandon frowned. What's so funny? I leaned back, took another slow sip of my coffee, and smiled. "Oh," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You really don't know who's paying for this tonight, do you?" Then, with deliberate slowness, I slid the check back across the table, right in front of Brandon. He blinked, staring at it like it was written in a foreign language. Confusion rippled across the table. "Wait, you're serious?" Brandon's voice dropped, a hint of panic creeping in as his smirk completely vanished. I didn't answer. I just kept drinking my coffee, watching his face shift from confusion to realization, then to anger. Melissa, sensing the shift, quickly tried to salvage it. "Your business is doing really well, isn't it, Robert?" she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness and a hint of desperation. One dinner like this won't hurt. There it was. The entitlement. The assumption that I owed them, simply because I had done well. They never thought about the years of work, the struggle, the sheer grind it took to get where I was. They only saw what they could take. This was never about the money itself. It was about how they treated me like nothing, yet still expected to profit from my life. Brandon, trying to regain his composure, spoke again, his voice strained. "Come on, Robert. You can handle it." He glanced at the waiter, then back at me. "Yeah, it's a big bill, but you're doing fine. Just pay it and let's go." My mother shifted uncomfortably. "Robert, sweetheart," she said quietly, her voice unsure. "It's just dinner. It's family. You know how they are." Even she sounded like she knew I was being used. She always tried to keep the peace, never picking sides. But this time she knew. I set my coffee down slowly and looked at every one of them. My uncle leaned forward, his stomach pressing against the table. "Enough of this," he grumbled, trying to sound authoritative. "We all know you're making good money. Stop acting like a kid and pay so we can leave." He wasn't asking, he was ordering. Others nodded. Some even smiled, certain I would give in, pay to keep things smooth.
But not this time.
Not after everything. Not after being the one they mocked, ignored, and used only when it suited them. Watching their nerves fray was almost satisfying. I smiled, small and calm. "Sure," I said evenly. "I'll cover the bill." A wave of visible relief washed over the table. A few even patted my back, as if I'd just saved them from financial ruin. But I wasn't done. Brandon brightened. "See, that wasn't so bad," he said with a fake salute. "Appreciate it, big shot." I leaned forward, still smiling. "Actually," I said, my voice cutting through their relief, "I changed my mind. You all can pay for it. Good luck." The table went dead silent, like someone had hit a mute button on the entire room. No one moved. Not a single word. Brandon's face fell, all his confidence gone. He opened his mouth to argue, but I was already standing, grabbing my jacket. I wasn't leaving yet, but I wanted them to feel every excruciating second of that moment. "Just so you know," I said quietly, my gaze sweeping over their stunned faces. "If you don't want to deal with a bill this big again, you might want to be smarter about how much you order next time." Brandon's eyes went wide with shock. He was no longer the smug cousin who used to boss me around. His jaw tightened as he looked from one person to another, clearly unsure what to do. He had expected me to stay quiet and take it like always. But this time I was in control. I walked away from the table at a slow, deliberate pace, fully aware of what was about to happen because I had already set everything in motion. The server, who had been hovering, still unsure who was going to handle the payment, watched me go. Then I heard Brandon call out, "Hey," his voice sharp. "You can't just—" "I'll be right over there," I said calmly, pointing to the lounge seating off to the side. "Let me know when you've sorted it out." I kept walking. The tension behind me was thick, palpable, like heavy fog. They weren't used to this. They were used to pushing guilt onto me and watching me give in. But I wasn't playing that role anymore. Their spoiled attitudes, their belief that I owed them. Tonight, they were going to learn a different lesson. I settled into a soft armchair and glanced back. Brandon stood nervously, tugging at his collar, whispering furiously to Melissa and my mom. I couldn't hear every word, but I caught pieces. "Robert's not paying. He'll cover it, right?" Don't upset him. We need him to handle it. Do we even have enough money? They were panicking, trying to figure out who would pay what, counting how much they could scrape together without dipping into their own pockets. They were finally realizing I wasn't going to save them. Minutes passed. I scrolled through my phone, pretending to be utterly unconcerned, though I kept glancing over to watch their fear grow. The waiter hovered, probably giving them judgmental looks, waiting for someone to act. The longer it went on, the clearer it became. They had no plan. Eventually, Brandon walked over to me. He looked like he'd been through a war, his face tight with a mixture of anger and regret. I stayed seated, taking my sweet time before looking up. "What's the problem?" I asked casually. He exhaled hard, trying to maintain some semblance of calm. "Robert, this isn't funny. The bill is way higher than we thought. Can you just help us out this time? I mean, come on. We're family." I gave a small, humorless laugh. "I'm not joking, Brandon. You all ordered whatever you wanted without even asking if I was okay with it. Now you expect me to pay for the wine, the food, everything?" He swallowed, clearly uncomfortable. "We didn't think it would end up like this. It's just one dinner. Can't you just help?" I leaned back, letting his words hang in the air. Same story, different night. No responsibility, no apology. They didn't care about me, only about the money. "Brandon," I said, my voice firm, "I'm done. You're not kids. Pay for your own things. I'm not your wallet anymore. Being related doesn't mean I owe you anything." His face hardened, the guilt gone, replaced by pure anger. His eyes narrowed. "You're really going to dump this whole bill on us after everything we've done for you? After all the support we gave you?" I looked at him coldly. "You mean all the times you expected me to pay while you sat back, acting like I owed you? That's not support, Brandon." Behind him, Melissa and my mom watched, growing more anxious by the second. They could see control slipping away. I could almost see Melissa's gears turning, trying to twist the situation. My mom looked more nervous than ever. "We can't just leave," Melissa suddenly blurted out, her voice high and shaky. "We're not really going to walk out on a $4,700 bill, are we? That's insane." I raised an eyebrow. "No one's running out, Melissa. All of you are staying and paying. I'm done pretending everything's fine. Blood doesn't excuse using me. I'm finished with it." Brandon's face turned bright red as his frustration boiled over. "You've got to be kidding. You're really just going to leave us like this? Now we're the ones stuck with it, Robert. And I was always stuck with it." I cut in. "Was I the one choosing all that food?"
No.
"You all made those choices. Now deal with them." Melissa looked like she was about to speak, but my mom beat her to it, her voice trembling. "Robert, please.
This isn't the time.
We're your family. Just help us this once. You have the money." Her words hung in the air, heavy. Of course, they knew I had money. That was the whole problem. They saw my success, but not the years of hard work. They didn't see effort. They saw a free ride. I stood slowly, adjusting my jacket. "No, Mom, I can't help. Brandon can. Melissa can. All of you can. I'm not cleaning up your disaster this time." I glanced at the waiter, who had been standing nearby the entire time, clearly listening. I gave him a small nod, my signal that I was finished. Then I turned and walked toward the exit, never looking back. As I stepped into the cool night air, I heard whispers behind me. I didn't stop. Footsteps followed, slowing my pace, but I still didn't turn around. They had brought this on themselves. Now it was time for them to deal with it. Soon, I reached the parking lot, hands in my coat pockets, staring silently at my car. Then I heard rapid footsteps, the click of heels behind me. Melissa's voice, strained and panicked, called out, "Robert, wait." I didn't respond. My heartbeat was steady. I was calm. "Robert," she called again, her voice trembling. "You can't just leave us like this. This is serious." I spun around, cutting her off. "You think I don't know what's serious, Melissa? You think I can't see exactly what you're trying to do?" She froze, stunned. Neither of us spoke. The wind rustled through the trees, and tension filled the space between us. She searched for words, but I didn't let her speak. Not this time. You've been taking advantage of me for so long, I said quietly but firmly. Every time something happens, it's always Robert will handle it, right? Never, hey, Robert, how are you doing? It's always about what I can give. I've had enough. Her eyes flickered, guilt showing for a moment, but she quickly replaced it with anger. You can't just abandon us like this, she snapped, her voice rising. We're depending on you. You can't just walk out on your own family when things go wrong. I clenched my jaw but stayed calm. I'm not leaving my family, Melissa. I'm walking away from people who think I owe them everything. This isn't about love. It's about control. And I'm finally done letting you treat me like I'm your backup plan. She froze, her face red, clearly unsure of what to say next. Before she could speak again, Brandon and my mom came rushing out of the restaurant. Brandon looked a mess, shirt half untucked, face full of panic. My mom looked scared and guilty at the same time. Her eyes found me immediately. Robert, please, she said, her voice breaking. We don't know what to do. We can't pay. You're the only one who can help us. Her words reached me, but not in the way she expected. A strange calm washed over me as I watched them panic. They had pushed me for years, always expecting me to give in. Now, finally, they were seeing that everything comes with a price. You seriously think I'm going to fix this for you again? I said, my voice dropping. You really believe this is just about money? It's not. This is about dignity. This is about you finally understanding that I worked incredibly hard for everything I have. And no, you don't get to keep taking from me when life doesn't go your way. Brandon stepped toward me, hands slightly raised, pleading. Robert, don't do this. We're your family. This isn't just about the cost. It's about… Stop, I said sharply, cutting him off. Brandon, for you, it's always been about money. The moment you figured I'd cover it, I stopped being your brother and became your personal aide. Brandon's face twisted. He opened his mouth, then closed it, as if the words wouldn't come. He couldn't believe this was real, that I was standing up to him, that I wasn't caving. I looked at my mom. She was panicked, eyes flicking between me and the restaurant entrance, probably hoping I'd change my mind and go back to rescue them. But I wasn't doing that.
Not this time.
You created this mess, I said, turning my back to them. Now it's yours to clean up. I'm finished. Before they could react, I opened my car door, slid into the seat, and started the engine. The soft hum of the motor filled the space between us. I glanced in the rearview mirror. They were still frozen in place, a tableau of shock and desperation. I didn't feel bad. Not at all. They had their chance. As I drove away, a strange feeling washed over me. Freedom. For once, I wasn't the one being taken advantage of. I wasn't paying for everyone else's mess. And as the restaurant shrank in my mirror, I knew I had finally done what I should have done years ago. They had pushed me too far. Now they had to deal with it. Not long after, my phone started buzzing. I didn't answer. Let them try. Let them message. I wasn't responding anymore. But of course, they didn't stop. By the time I got home, there were 6 missed calls from Mom, from Brandon, and a message from Melissa. Robert, we're really sorry. Please come back. We'll pay you back. Don't leave us like this. I stared at the screen for a moment, my fingers hovering over the reply button. I didn't type anything. They still didn't understand how badly they had messed up. I dropped my phone onto the couch, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and sat down. My apartment was quiet. I could hear a few cars passing outside, the low hum of the fridge, and nothing else. The silence felt better than the chaos I had just left behind. After a few minutes, I started to feel something else.
Peace.
Not just about the money. This wasn't about the $4,700 anymore. It was about finally saying no. About standing up for myself. Something I had never truly done before. Then my phone buzzed again. Another text from Melissa. This one short and direct. We can't pay the bill. It's $4,700. Please help. That was it. I stared at the message for a while. It felt surreal. $4,700. The same amount they had casually expected me to cover earlier, as if it were nothing. I remembered how they treated it like just another night out. assuming I would handle it. I didn't feel even a hint of guilt. I took another sip of my beer, leaned back, and waited for what I knew was coming. Sure enough, a few minutes later, my phone rang. Brandon again. I picked up. "Robert," he said right away, his voice tight with stress. "Okay, we get it. You're upset, but we need help. We can't cover this. You're the only one who can fix it." His panic was clear. I could almost taste it. It almost made me laugh, but I didn't. "I already told you," I said calmly. "This is your mess. Fix it yourselves." "But Robert, you don't understand," he said, his voice rising. "This is family," Brandon shouted, the words tumbling out. "You're really going to abandon us like this after everything we've been through together?" "Everything we've been through?" I repeated, stunned. "You mean all the times you treated me like a walking cash machine? The constant demands wrapped in guilt and pressure? That's what you call shared experience?" He didn't answer right away. There was only silence, then a long breath. "That's not what I meant, Robert.
Come on.
We're not trying to use you. We just need a little help." "Help," I said, my voice sharp. What I've been doing for years wasn't helping, Brandon. It was making it easy for you to avoid growing up. And guess what? You're not kids anymore. If I keep stepping in, you'll never deal with your own mess. No words came from his end. The silence was thick. He didn't argue this time. I could tell the truth had landed, even if he didn't want to accept it. "Take care, Brandon," I said, my voice firm and distant. "You're going to need it." Before he could reply, I ended the call. The rest of my evening was calm. I drank my beer, put something on to watch, and didn't think twice about what was happening back at the restaurant. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. One last message from Mom. "Robert, please, if you're still hurt, we'll try to make things right. Just come back and take care of the check." I didn't reply. They were going to deal with this, without me. By the next day, I heard what had happened. They couldn't cover the bill and had to start calling their own friends, begging for help. I even learned they had to apply for a loan just to pay part of it. The worst part was what the restaurant manager did. Apparently, he confronted them, called them out for pretending to be a close family while dumping the cost on someone else, for taking advantage of others instead of being accountable. It was humiliating. As for me, I felt nothing. No regret, no guilt. Because the best part wasn't watching them panic or walking away. It was finally being in control. It was setting a boundary and refusing to let it be crossed. That moment was worth more than the overpriced dinner they expected me to pay for. I wasn't their backup anymore. And after everything I'd been through, I learned something important. Sometimes the most honest way to care about family is to stop rescuing them, especially when they refuse to learn, even if it means watching them fall. I had done everything I could. Now it was their turn to face the consequences. Have you ever had to draw a line with family members like this? What did you do? Or maybe you're in a similar situation right now.
I really want to know what you think.
Share your story in the comments below.